This guy is a nerd loser that responds as a dog, gets adopted by a baddie that wants that dog in her. The story is about a middle school boy named Kazuhito who is so obsessed with reading books that he has no other hobby, and lives in a house with a huge pile of novels that he has bought, whether he has read them or not. Kazuhito used to read novels by a famous author named Akiyama Shinobu, who is an anonymous author, although he is a bestseller in Japan and was supposed to release a novel called Lust, but it was delayed, which made Kazuhito so eager to read it that he did not want to die before that. One day Kazuhito was in a cafe reading one of his favorite author's novels, and after he finished, he was surprised that his wallet was missing, and he kept looking around until he noticed a robbery happening inside the cafe where the thief was trying to force the cafe owner to give him the money in the safe. When the thief realizes he's staring at him, he points the gun at him and tells him to stand up, then starts talking to someone else. Kazuhito notices that a girl sitting right behind him is so engrossed in her work that she ignores what the thief is saying. The thief was furious and approached her, repeating his request, but she didn't listen. Just as he was about to shoot her, Kazuhito intervened, grabbed his rifle, and the two began to clash. Although the girl ignored everything and continued writing, Kazuhito ended up dead from a bullet in the center of his head, and while he was on his way to the other world, he couldn't believe that he died just like that, and he began to see his life tape and the people he knew passing in front of him until he remembered his house and the books he lived among and felt the desire to come back to life again so that he could read the unreleased novel Lust. As he tried to reach out and touch the book that appeared in front of him, he was surprised by the appearance of a small puppy sleeping quietly and found himself being pulled towards him involuntarily, and after a while he regained consciousness to find a man with African hair talking to him. He realized that he was still alive somehow, but he was shocked when he accidentally looked in the mirror and realized that he had turned into a dog, although he had become more handsome than human. After a week passed, Kazuhito had nothing to do but stay inside the small cage and read everything around him until he finished reading all the signs and instructions inside the animal store, and according to what the store owner told him, he found him in a wet box on a rainy day and decided to take him to the store and take care of him. But what angered him the most was that he spent a whole week of his life without reading a single book. He found the shopkeeper sitting next to him with a book and got excited, jumping into the cage because he wanted to read, but he ended up receiving a ration of food based on the shopkeeper's findings. Kazuhito sat sadly in the cage, mumbling about his desire to read books, especially those of his favorite author Akiyama, as if he was suffering from withdrawal symptoms, until a mysterious woman entered the store and walked up to him to tell the owner that she wanted to adopt him. The store owner tried to convince her that he wasn't for sale, but she insisted on him so much that she smashed his cage with her scissors and managed to get him. But things soon turned sour after he ended up tied up and she wanted to get rid of him. Kazuhito wouldn't stop barking and screaming for someone to save him, which made her feel bad that his voice was constantly echoing in her head. And while Kazuhito was thinking inside his mind, he found that she was responding to his thoughts and realized that she could read his thoughts for some reason, and that this is the reason why she wanted to get rid of him, as she suffered from insomnia for a whole week because of his voice echoing in her head. Kazuhito tried to apologize and convince her that he didn't mean any harm and didn't know he could talk to her mind. When he asked her who she was, she told him she was Kirihime, 20 years old. He asked her if another person or animal could read his thoughts, and she replied that she had no idea. When he found that she was still insisting on his death, he felt frustrated that he would die again after the robbery. Kirihime caught his attention after mentioning the robbery in his head, and Kazuhito realized that she was the girl sitting behind him when he fought with the robber. He told her what happened to him after his death and that he came back as a dog. He wouldn't blame her if she didn't believe his story, but she was silent and left quietly. After a while, she returned again, dressed in revealing clothes, to try to seduce him, but he told her that nothing but books interested him. She surprised him with a sudden attack and cut the rope to free him. She told him he would have to stay here for a while as he was homeless. He found that she was right and he should stay at her house even though she was suspicious and wanted to get rid of him. When he asked her if she really believed his story, she told him she would believe him and asked him what he wanted to do right now. He got excited and told her he wanted to read books. She took him to her private library and Kazuhito was amazed and felt like he was in heaven. He wandered around staring at all the shelves until he found that she was reading his favorite author. Kirihime approached him to tell him that he kept calling her name the whole time. Kazuhito was surprised, since he didn't know her name until now. She said that he kept calling her name the whole time he was at the animal store, and when she told him that he called her Akiyama Shinobu, he realized that she was his favorite author and that this was her nickname. He couldn't understand that he ended up being adopted by his favorite best-selling author, and found that she was obsessed with writing, and discovered over the days that she had other hobbies such as cooking, sports, and practicing martial arts as an inspiration for her ideas. In the evening, Kazuhito watches the news report on the accident in which he died and is able to identify the thief as an unemployed man. When they show his old residence, he recognizes it. He then remembers that his wallet was lost before his death and realizes that he left it with the bookseller who was counting his points. While he is thinking, Kirihime listens to his thoughts and decides to take him the next day and go to his old residence to settle the points. Kirihime took Kazuhito with her to the mall and took him to the animal store where she got him. The store owner was happy to see him so energetic, but he quickly became frightened when he saw Kirihime's frowning face as if he had seen a monster. monster. Kirihime continues to walk around with Kazuhito until she encounters a blonde girl on her way who looks like a famous star and tries to show off in front of her. But she quickly becomes irritated when Kirihime ignores her and continues on her way. And when she wants to challenge her directly, she is surprised by the captain of the guard carrying her and leaving quickly when it's time to work. Kazuhito wondered if she already knew this girl, but he was surprised that she didn't even notice her presence. Then he felt that the girl's face looked familiar to him, and when they passed by the bookstore where he used to buy his novels, he stopped to take a look inside and then decided to move on. He then asked Kirihime to hurry up and finish writing Lust, and she told him that she lacked the spark and inspiration at the moment. They arrived at his old residence, and when he wondered why they were here, she told him that they had a score to settle. When they got to the door of his room, he told her that it belonged to a distant relative who let him live there for free since it was a storage room, so he decided to leave the room to the general office and lived in the room next door. Kirihime realizes that he didn't tell his family about his apartment change and admits that he did it so that they wouldn't send him little money and keep buying books. Kirihime decides to enter room 102, which is a warehouse, and Kazuhito is surprised that she has the keys to the rooms. She told him that she has some influence as her sister is a policewoman, and when they went inside, Kazuhito found that his family had already taken his things and prepared the books to deal with them later. And while he was wandering around the room, he noticed a newspaper lying on the floor and read the news of the arrest of the thief and the owner of the cafe. Then he found Kirihime telling him that this was the room where the thief who caused his death was living, and now he was hiding somewhere. And it turned out that the thief had gotten his wallet after getting rid of him, which contained his apartment key and the bookstore's points card. Kirihime then added that the thief was mentally unstable and homeless and had no choice but to use his room as a shelter after his death, which is why he wasn't caught since no one knows about room 101 and everyone knows that he lives in room 102. Kazuhito was surprised at the amount of information she had about the thief, but she told him that it might be her imagination and that she might want to write a story about the crime in this narrative. As they were about to leave, they were surprised to see the thief come out of the next room, but he quickly ran away after he found them staring at him for a long time. Kazuhito and Kirihime kept following him until he stopped on a bridge and looked at them. Kazuhito felt that he looked different than last time. The thief recognized Kirihime's face and she told him that she wouldn't let him escape again. The thief attacked her. She tried to fight him off but was knocked down by a loud punch and then realized that he had used one of her novels to hit her. Kazuhito then pulls out another novel from his pocket, and Kazuhito is surprised to find that they are part of the Seven Sins series, and concludes that he uses the books in the series for self-defense because they have strong and durable covers, and then finds the thief telling them that he will not allow himself to be caught before he reads the Lust novel. Kazuhito is shocked by the fact that the thief likes to read books as much as he does and realizes that reading Kirihime's novels has made a big change in his personality. However, Kirihime rushes to attack him, and when he dodges her, Kazuhito is surprised that he uses the fighting style mentioned in the Legend of 1,000 Years of Fighting. When Kirihime realizes it, she finds that she has mentioned too much in her novel to be used against her, while Kazuhito almost loses his mind when he switches to using another technique from another novel to put Kirihime's mind into a hypnotic state. Kirihime began to be affected by the thief's technique until she lost control of herself while he took advantage of the situation and continued to beat her until he was surprised that she cut off his clothes so that the books would fall out and he would be defenseless. And when he rushed towards her, she took the rest of the books from him, which made him collapse and ended up unconscious on the edge of the fence. Then she told Kazuhito that he could take revenge and cause his death by pushing him under the bridge, and that it wouldn't be a sin for him as he was just a dog. The idea started to creep into his mind and he approached the thief but decided to pull him to the ground instead of pushing him. When Kirihime asked him why, he told her that he was a book lover and that he didn't intend to take revenge for something that had happened and ended. She accused him of lying, but he was confident that she could read his mind and knew he was sincere, then added that he was still alive and would no longer be human if he caused the thief's death. Kirihime is furious and calls him a coward, then decides to finish him off herself as the one who saved him, and because she holds a grudge against the thief since she feels that she caused his death. Kazuhito realizes that she is blaming herself for his death for her. When she blames herself and refuses to listen to him, he pushes her away and tells her that what happened was not her fault, that he decided to defend her and that he is sure she would have done the same as they are similar in doing what they love as if their lives depended on it. Then he added that he knew her well from her thoughts and her writings and that she lived inside him, and asked her to stop crying, but she couldn't stop her guilt. And as they drove home, Kirihime had a certain feeling she couldn't express and thought about cutting Kazuhito's chest in the hope that she could explain it to him. Kazuhito realizes that she is a sadistic girl who enjoys torturing those she loves and asks her to put the scissors away. She tells him that she feels like she wants to write her new book. Kazuhito then remembers that they left the motel and left his room open and starts to go back to lock his room so that no one steals his books, but he finds that she is distracted and ignores what he says and ends up being chased by her after calling him flat-chested. After a while, Kazuhito woke up after having a dream about his past life while his sister Madoka used to wake him up in the morning. Then he was surprised that Kirihime appeared in the dream out of nowhere, which made it turn into a nightmare, and he wondered what happened to his sister after his death. Then he noticed a strange girl leaning on the table and tried to make noise or talk to her telepathically, but he found that she was not listening to him, so he suspected that she might be dead, and when he approached her, he couldn't tell if she was crying or laughing. Kazuhito was surprised when she approached him without warning and started talking to him. He realized that she could somehow read his mind and told him that he could not evade her as she had been looking for him for a long time. He found her talking nonsense about controlling the demon world and calling herself the the Demon Empress. Kazuhito was relieved when he realized that she wasn't reading his mind after she called him by another name and thought that he should make that girl leave before Kirihime appeared to save blood. But Kirihime soon appeared in front of him and apologized to her for waiting so long. When they sat down to talk, Kirihime handed him a piece of paper under the table, and when he read it, he realized that this girl was Suzuna, her editor and the author of the Sins of the Dead series, and he was excited to attend a meeting between a writer and an editor. Suzuna doesn't believe that Kirihime is in a slump. She explains that she's just not satisfied with what she's currently writing. Suzuna suggests that Kirihime make a change in her life, like going on a trip or learning something else, but Kirihime finds it exhausting. When she suggests getting a breast augmentation, Kirihime is furious and attacks her with scissors, and after tearing Suzuna's shirt, she finds her expressing her gratitude that her scissors are the only thing that makes her feel alive. Then she expresses her displeasure that she got a dog without her knowledge, as she considers it a betrayal because she sees herself as her slave, and Kazuhito is stunned that she compares herself to him, then tells Kirihime before she leaves to use her empty schedule to write something new. Kazuhito remembered that Kirihime had started to write a novel of desire, but soon stopped writing due to lack of passion. Kazuhito thought that she might be inspired when something happens, so she assigned Suzuna to look for an interesting incident. She told her that there was talk of a serial killer in the area around them and asked her to be careful. After she left, Kazuhito sat down to check the papers and was curious as to when Kirihime went into a slump. She tells him that she's been in this state for 3 months, and he realizes that she hasn't written anything since he died in his previous life, while Kirihime reads his thoughts and concludes that he's the cause of her stagnation and thinks about eliminating him to get back to writing. Kazuhito ends up suffering after she cuts off pieces of his fur. A few days later, Suzuna visits them again, and when she finds Kirihime still in the doldrums, she suggests reading magazines. She pulls out a copy and tells her that she's got an article about the serial killer she told her about. When Kazuhito looks at the article, he realizes that the serial killer was caught and was targeting his victims late at night with a sharp instrument. Suzuna then adds that she intends to use herself as bait to catch the Ripper. After she leaves, she decides to tell her sister cop to take care of it before Suzuna puts herself in danger. The next day, Kirihime decides to go and look for the Ripper herself after failing to get information from her sister. She and Kazuhito then head to the bookstore, where his dog-like appearance appeals to Sakura and her younger sister Yaoi, who thinks of naming him Kuro since he has a black coloring. When Kirihime asks if any of them have heard about the serial killer, Sakura tells her that she heard rumors about a girl who chased him and used her book as a weapon, and then found their father saying that the girl was attacked on the same day she bought a book by author Akiyama and couldn't remember the exact time. After they left the store, they came across a young man running in a hurry who ended up tripping right in front of them. Kirihime asked him if he had heard anything about the serial killer, and he told her that he knew a colleague who had been attacked directly by him on his way home as he was sitting in a cafe reading books. Kazuhito noticed the resemblance between the victims, and when they went to the animal store, the owner, Kiyoshi, told them that he had never heard of him. On the way, her gym buddies and her trainer showed up, so she took a different route to avoid them. That's when she ran into the eccentric blonde girl who used her bodyguards to get to the top and prevent them from leaving this time. When Kazuhito hears her name from one of the guards, he realizes he's standing in front of the famous artist Maxi, who is famous for writing The Color of Life and is so popular with the youth that she ranks as one of the bestia authors and best-selling authors of the era. Kirihime is surprised that Maxi has been following her lately as if she knows who she is. Maxi tells Kirihime that she was just curious to see how good she is as an author, so Kirihime chooses not to waste time with her and moves on. When Maxi accuses her of running away from her, Kirihime turns to look at her. Maxi realizes that she has a flat chest and deliberately removes her jacket to show off her body. Kirihime is furious and decides to take her golden hair with a pair of scissors. Kazuhito can't help but watch, but luckily the guard Damon intervenes and takes Maxi away. In the evening, they are surprised to hear a commotion near the shopping center, and when they go there, they find Kiyoshi lying on the ground clutching his head. As Kirihime looks around, she notices a suspicious figure in the crowd. As he runs away, she follows him, leaving Kazuhito behind. Kazuhito realized that this meant that Kiyoshi had a copy of Kirihime's book, and when he went to look for it, he found it in a garbage can in an alley, so he didn't hesitate to approach the book to take it, but he ended up being trapped after the bucket fell straight down with him in it. Kazuhito remembered when his sister came to tell him that she had finished reading the Seven Sins series and that it was an interesting novel, and was excited to find her admiring the novels of his favorite author. And when he regained consciousness, he found himself tied up in his old residence, and what made him shocked was seeing his sister Madoka approaching him and welcoming him back because she was the one who lured him to the book. Kazuhito remembers in his past life that his sister Madoka was very popular in their school because she was beautiful and had many talents compared to him, and she used to tell him everything that happened to her, and when she became emotionally troubled, he was forced to read books about romantic relationships, even though it is not his favorite genre. Although he tried to help her, he was surprised to find her getting angry with him for no reason. Despite her strange temperament, she was a trustworthy sister compared to what is happening now, as Kazuhito realizes that Madoka is the serial killer they are looking for. Meanwhile, Kirihime chased the mysterious person until he disappeared and found herself at a crossroads, while on the other side, Kazuhito noticed Madoka constantly calling him her brother even though he had turned into a dog, and was surprised when he realized that she could read his thoughts. When he asked her if she had set the trap, she confidently told him that she would find him around the city. Kazuhito felt that what was happening to him now was a miracle, and a strong bond between him and his younger sister and told her that his life had been a series of violence with Kiriheim. He then asked if she had come here with their parents. She didn't answer and told him that from now on they would be together forever. He realized that there was something wrong with her not answering about their parents, so he decided to make sure that she was really his sister and asked her the name of the cat they were taking care of. Madoka continued to ignore his questions, which made him think that she didn't understand what he was trying to say. He wondered how she knew he was her brother if she couldn't read his mind, and then found her expressing her displeasure that he had refused to move in with them before and preferred to live alone in Tokyo, and vowed that they would be together forever from now on. Kazuhito felt that his sister had changed so much that she had become obsessed with the idea of being together forever, which made him feel afraid of her. When she saw him staring at her in surprise, she thought he was hungry and brought out the spicy curry she had made herself. Kazuhito was confused by her excessive use of hot spices and hesitated to eat it because he didn't know if dogs were allowed to eat curry or not, and once she approached him to feed him, he wanted a miracle to happen before the spoon reached his mouth. Madoka remembered that she forgot to bring the side dishes and went out to buy some ingredients. Kazuhito wanted to use the opportunity to free himself and escape. Luckily, he realized that Kiriheim was standing in front of the window, but she was giving him deadly glares. He ends up being interrogated by Kiriheim after they return home, and she accuses him of flirting with Madoka. When she calls her a cat burglar, he tells her that she's his younger sister and is furious at her name calling. When she asked him for proof that she was his sister, he had no choice but to tell her what he knew about his sister. She freed him and ordered him to tell her more about her. When she confirmed that she was indeed his sister, she was curious as to why she had tied him up, but he had no idea either. He asked her where she disappeared to before they split up. She told him that she had gone to chase the suspect but lost track of him. Fortunately, she was able to find a clue. He had the 7 Sins of Gluttony book. He wondered if these crimes were committed by someone who hated Akiyama Shinobu. He asked her to remember if she had many enemies. Kazuhito approached the book and kept thinking about who could have done it among the people they had met throughout the day. Then he remembered that his sister had caught him in a trap in one of Kiriheim's books, and all the evidence pointed to her as the culprit, although it was impossible for him. But there was no other justification for her strange behavior. Then he found Kiriheim planning to make her pay for kidnapping him as her dog, and Madoka was wandering around looking for him after his disappearance. The next day they couldn't find Madoka when they went to the inn, so they had to look for her in the area around the inn. As they walked around, they came across Suzune, who came to tell them that she had heard rumors that the Ripper had recently attacked someone. Kiriheim made fun of the fact that she had previously vowed not to let there be any more victims and called her a slut for showing up before keeping her promise, leaving Suzune feeling embarrassed and under tremendous stress. When Kiriheim asks her if she was able to gather information, she tells her that she found out that the common denominator of the crimes is that they are connected to her books. Kiriheim says that they already have this information, but she is quickly distracted by Suzune saying that there are rumors about a girl crying in the park while cutting up her books, and when Kazuhito hears her description, he realizes that she is his sister. They head to the park and find a scattered pile of torn pages. Madoka appears in front of them and asks Kazuhito who Kiriheim is, and she's furious that he's accompanying her. Then she was surprised to find that Kiriheim knew her name, and they were about to fight for Kazuhito, who decided to intervene this time and stand between them, and begged Kiriheim not to use scissors, but she decided to arrest her and interrogate her to solve the case. Madoka is surprised that there are still papers that haven't been completely burned since she deliberately burned all of Akiyama Shinobu's books, and Kiriheim decides to escape by throwing a gas grenade to block her view. She then realizes that Madoka is largely responsible for the recent murders, and that it has nothing to do with her hatred of Akiyama. She just doesn't want the unknown author to take her brother away from her. Kazuhito marveled at her analysis of the situation and that his love of books had nothing to do with hating his sister. She told him that maybe Madoka had misunderstood, and Kazuhito remembered when he was talking to her about the books he was reading, and that most of them were written by Kiriheim under her pseudonym, and thought that maybe it wasn't fun for her and made her feel that this author was taking over her brother's attention. Kiriheim thought about why Madoka might be thinking that way and guessed that maybe his death had affected her. Kazuhito thought that maybe she was right and that this was the cause of her mental instability and jealousy. He told Kiriheim that he was afraid, so he avoided thinking about how they would deal with his death. She told him that Madoka might think that by destroying Akiyama and his writings, she could help her brother come back. He told her that he still trusted his sister, and that if he thought she was the serial killer, he would be the one to stop her. He asked Kiriheim to lend him her power so that he could accomplish his mission, and decided to rely and trust her, and Kiriheim was happy for his honesty. As soon as she finished her sentence, Kazuhito was surprised when Madoka burst into the house through the window and took him in her arms before he could think of running away, while Kiriheim stood in front of her to prevent her from leaving with him. Kazuhito is surprised when Madoka tells him that she put a tracking device on him so that she can find him without him realizing it. But when Kiriheim tells her that she is the famous author Akiyama and is now standing inside his room, she is furious and feels the urge to finish her off. Madoka blamed Kiriheim for making her brother obsessed with books and wanted to spend more time with him before he died. But Kiriheim told her that her actions wouldn't make her brother happy. Kiriheim asks her if she knows her brother well and tells her that Kazuhito wouldn't be happy with her actions if he were one of her readers because she trusts her readers and can convey her feelings through her novels. Kazuhito died in front of her while trying to protect her from a thief, and Madoka broke down in front of her. Kiriheim then added that she will continue to write for him even if everyone forgets him because writing is the main reason she continues to live. She then asks her directly if she thinks she will receive praise from her brother for her actions. answers, and when Madoka feels she's in trouble and can't answer, she ends up jumping up and running away while carrying Kazuhito. After a while, Kazuhito regained consciousness and found himself staring at the vast sky, and was surprised to hear Madoka's voice next to him apologizing for thinking he was her brother and that she had a hunch she would find him. She told him that she had searched all over the city and set traps to find him, and when he fell into one of her traps, she thought she had finally found him. Then she felt sad and accused herself of being a bad sister, but Kazuhito told her that she was the best sister anyone could hope for, and she felt grateful to him and told him that she didn't know what the right thing to do was and thought that if she kept running away, she wouldn't be able to face him. Kirihime manages to find them, and Kazuhito is shocked when she says she put a tracking device in it too. Madoka stands in front of her and decides to settle the matter right then and there, summoning her tuna-eating weapon. Kazuhito is baffled to see that his sister has such a weapon and is surprised that he's the only one who has no idea about it. Madoka then finds Madoka saying that she bought it online with all the money she collected as a child and that she used it to cook for him. Kazuhito realized why her curry looked and tasted strange, while Kirihime used her scissors to block Madoka, and they began to clash and kept exchanging attacks with equal force. Madoka decided to use her weapon at full force, and the knife turned into a chainsaw, then rushed at Kirihime and tried to cut her in half, but Kirihime kept dodging her until the chainsaw got stuck in one of the park's trees. Kirihime took advantage of the opportunity and managed to smash the front of her weapon. Madoka was devastated and admitted that she realized that her brother was no longer with her in this world, but she couldn't give up now in order to remain worthy of being his little sister. She maximizes her weapon and continues to fight for Kazuhito, then fires a thunderous projectile at Kirihime, but Kirihime easily blocks it with scissors. Madoka gets frustrated and throws her weapon away. Kirihime approached her and they quickly became friends, with Madoka telling her that she originally came to Tokyo to take a high school entrance exam and that Kazuhito had been suggesting that she read many of her novels. Kirihime was curious as to why she was shredding her novels, and Madoka told her that she did it because her brother had told her in the past that if she sold the books to a bookstore, the author would lose ownership of the novel, so she should burn them or shred them when she was done with them. Kirihime realizes that it has nothing to do with the Ripper incident, while Kazuhito is shocked that his sister is not the Ripper after all. Madoka tells them that all she was doing was shredding books and stealing the dog. Kirihime cannot understand that she is not the Ripper who targets his victims because they read her novels, and that the Ripper is still on the loose. Kazuhito then realizes that Suzuna is the Ripper, and when she appears in front of him and admires his intelligence, he tells her how long he's known about her, telling her that all the stories about the Ripper they've heard from her and that he sensed something was wrong when they came across her in the city. He accused her of being the one who spread the rumors in the city and that she used Madoka's search for him to blame her and distract Kirihime. She told him that she did all this to help Kirihime overcome her writing crisis and that she would do anything for her. He told her that he trusted Kirihime to overcome her crisis on her own and asked her to trust her as a reader before she was an editor. She told him that a writer who stops writing is not a writer, and that she wanted to help her etch her name in the history of great authors of all time. Suzuna marveled that he had become so close to her and imagined what kind of novels Kirihime might write if he died, then surprised him with a sudden attack with pens and pretended to joke. Before she left, she told him that everything he had heard was just speculation and that he had no proof that she was the serial killer. He tells her that he won't recognize her method even if she's doing all this for Kirihime and will consider her his sworn enemy. She tells him before she leaves that they will meet again and tells him to take care of himself until the time comes when he learns what real pain means. Kirihime appeared out of nowhere and told her that she could easily deduce that it was her and ordered her to kneel in front of her. Suzuna couldn't resist her aura and confessed everything to Kazuhito's amazement. Kirihime tells her that she can overcome the stasis herself, then scatters a huge pile of leaves and orders her to collect them without standing on her feet, and Suzuna ends up jumping up and down to collect the leaves without dropping any of them to the ground. When Kazuhito inquired about the papers, she told him that she felt the urge to write after she tortured him last night, which is why she didn't get much sleep, and that her writing crisis had nothing to do with the accidents caused by Suzuna. After Suzuna finished collecting the papers, she stomped on her and ordered her not to interfere in her affairs again and told her that she could overcome any obstacle to write. The next day, Kazuhito and Kirihime went to say goodbye to Madoka before she left, and Madoka felt strange hearing her call the younger sister. Kirihime told her to come visit her anytime and gave her permission to do whatever she wanted with her dog, explaining that she wanted to help her as one of her readers. After Madoka left, she asked Kazuhito if he was sad, and he told her that something was bothering him about the Ripper case. Suzuna appears out of nowhere and tells him that she met the real serial killer by accident while spreading false rumors among the people and succeeded in kicking his ass and ended up in a dumpster. When Kirihime realizes that the criminal has been punished while they are looking for him, she is furious and decides to punish Suzuna in the most horrible way. The next day, Kazuhito went to the bookstore to buy the novel Mr. Bars, and Sakura thought that his master was the one who wanted to read it, and when she went to get the novel, he kept looking around and hoped that Sakura would come quickly before Kirihime came. After he took the novel and Sakura got the money, he was about to leave, but unfortunately Yaoi arrived and he ended up being treated like a puppet after she wanted to play with him for a while, until he lost his strength and was surprised when she told him that she might not be able to play with him anymore because she was leaving the city. When he returns home, Kirihime accuses him of betrayal for letting another girl touch him and warns him not to make a move on Yaoi. He tells her he's not a pervert, and then remembers her saying she's leaving town soon and is disappointed that he can't buy more books at his favorite bookstore. When Kirihime suggested suggested he buy books from another store or online. He told her that there was a painful story behind his attachment to that store, but she didn't care to hear it and started writing, telling him to go read his books in the corner of the room. As he read his book, he kept thinking about the store and that Sakura would be the only one to run the place since her father was an unreliable old man. Kirihime couldn't continue writing because of his thoughts creeping into her mind and decided to listen to his pathetic story. He told her that last spring he enrolled in high school and was on his way to visit his new home. While he was waiting for the hostel manager, he finished reading the book he had with him and happened to find a bookstore nearby, so he decided to buy another book to read while he waited for the manager. When he entered the store, he was surprised to see Sakura being scolded by an old woman for selling her a boring book. When he realized that the old woman was referring to a part of the 7 sins, he did not hesitate to insult her and accused her of not having read the entire book, which is why she called it boring. He ended up giving a lecture on the importance of the novel and how interesting it was. After spending hours explaining it, the old woman decided to ignore him and leave quietly, and he was furious when he realized that she had left while he was talking. Then he was surprised to be attacked by her father, thinking that he wanted to hurt Sakura, but she quickly explained it to him, making him apologize. Kazuhito felt suspicious of the place, and Sakura's father wanted to make up for it by suggesting that he take any book he wanted. Kazuhito liked the store because he would get free books and found that there were many unique and rare books in the store, and he ended up getting a large number of books for free. Then Sakura's father gave him a points card before he left. Then Kazuhito rushed out of the store after realizing that he was 2 hours late to meet the innkeeper, and when he returned to the station, he found a young girl with a picture of him waiting for him and scolded him as soon as she saw him. Kazuhito went on to say that he has been going to this store to buy books ever since, and that the point card he received is equal to the number of books he has read and is proof of his friendship with the owners. But he was surprised to see that Kirihime had already fallen asleep. The next day, Kazuhito went to the store and found the sisters in the middle of a fight. Yaoi ended up leaving the store in a huff after she took him in her arms and went to sit in the children's garden alone. While she was crying, Kazuhito was curious about what happened. Yaoi felt that he was trying to comfort her and started talking to him without knowing what was going on in his head, telling him that Sakura doesn't care about the store while she doesn't want to close it. She then goes on to say that she has come up with many ideas that could save the situation, but she quickly gets angry that Sakura isn't listening to her, so she decides to do it herself and uses a hat with a small advertising sign on the brim to promote the store and attract customers' attention. Kazuhito is impressed that she's willing to do anything to save the store and keep it from closing, but it turns into shock when she puts the hat on his head and realizes that she's going to use him to promote the store. He ends up walking around with Yaoi wearing a ridiculous hat, which makes him feel embarrassed, and on their way they are surprised when Maxi appears in front of them without warning. Yaoi is impressed by her radiance, so Maxi gives her a pair of dark glasses and makes her look like a member of her band. Maxi realizes that Yaoi is promoting a bookstore and decides to help her and give her the glow. However, Yaoi is furious and refuses to accept her help and leaves in a hurry, followed by Kazuhito. Meanwhile, Sakura is worried about her sister and is surprised when a girl named Hami appears out of nowhere to give her a book that she had previously suggested to her. Hami seems overly nervous and afraid of Sakura, so much so that she suggests burning the book or tearing it up if she doesn't like it. Yaoi, on the other hand, realizes that she has lost her way and no longer knows how to return, so he decides to help her and tries to tell her to follow him. But he is surprised to see her start crying, so he tries to communicate with her in any way, but she is unable to understand him. Kazuhito thought about going to get Sakura or their father, but he refused to leave her alone in this unknown place, so he approached her and pulled her to continue walking, and then he panicked after being attacked by Kirihime, who accused him of betrayal and blamed him for causing Yaoi to cry. Yaoi tells her that it's time to go home. Yaoi tells her that she doesn't want to go back after upsetting her sister. Kirihime tells her that she trusts that her sister is worried about her right now. Kirihime tried to comfort her, telling her that she had an older sister who used to call her names and that it was normal for siblings to fight with each other all the time. But Yaoi was worried that what she said would make Sakura sad, so Kirihime suggested that she go apologize to her. In the evening, Yaoi returned with them to the store and summoned the courage to apologize to Sakura. Sakura approached her and hugged her. Then the hat fell out of Yaoi's bag and Sakura realized what her sister was trying to do and told her that she was the one who should apologize to her. When Kirihime realized that everything was fine between the two sisters, she wanted to know more about the store and told Sakura that an acquaintance of hers had a spirit attached to this place. Sakura denied that she was going to close the store even though her father was making losses for them by having excessive book sales and inventing a points card that allowed people to get their money back, but she wouldn't allow the store to close. When Yaoi asks how she knows that the store will be closed, she tells them that she deduced it from her parents' constant fighting, as she thinks that their fighting will cause them to divorce and the family will fall apart. Sakura told her that their parents don't seriously fight, and while they were talking, they were surprised to see their father lying on the ground after being beaten up by his wife. Sakura tried to convince her sister that this was their way of expressing their love for each other and told her that the store wouldn't close and their family wouldn't fall apart. Afterward, Kirihime and Kazuhito are on their way home and he is surprised that she intends to punish him for hanging around like a stray dog. After Kazuhito finished reading a book, Kirihime was curious about what he was reading, and when she found that he was reading a book about law, she told him that this book is for young people of the future, which he is no longer one of them after he turned into a dog. He felt angry and told her that he can read all the books he wants. Then she tells him she needs his help with something. When he tells her he's too busy reading books, books. She threatens to take his life away, and he won't be able to read another page of any book. He gets scared and decides to submit to her. He realizes she wants to help him look for her bra. He tells her she has flat breasts so she doesn't need a bra and ends up getting attacked with scissors. She tells him to act like a dog and find her bra with his nose. He decides to approach her to smell her, and when he suddenly jumps in, she pushes him away before he can get to her, and she's embarrassed. He told her that he couldn't find the bra without smelling it, so she had to let him get close and smell it. When she took him in her arms, he kept smelling her and accidentally touched her. Kiriheim throws him away and accuses him of harassment. When he tells her that he didn't touch anything because her breasts are flat, he ends up tied up in the living room. She frees him when Suzuna joins them, and the three of them continue to search. When Kazuhito tried to elude them and continue reading books, Kiriheim quickly found out about it, making him furious that she was distracting him while reading. He told her about his own 7 sins of reading, but she was so indifferent that she almost fell asleep in front of him. When he tried to avoid her, he caused the suspicious box to fall off the shelves. Kiriheim blushed when he realized she was hiding a magazine about breast augmentation. He admired her courage in recognizing the issue and trying to overcome it, and Kiriheim almost took his life when she took it as pity. Kazuhito was surprised at the idea that she might have forgotten to put it on after training, and when she realized that he was in the locker room with her, she kicked him out and accused him of trying to use his dog-like appearance for sordid purposes. Kiriheim then thought that someone had stolen her bra and vowed to make the thief pay for his sin with his body if he was found. Just then, Kiriheim's trainer appeared and told her to come with him to do chest exercises. Kazuhito took the opportunity to evade her and go back to reading books, and while he was sitting enjoying his time, he felt something suspicious underneath him, and when he pulled it out, he was surprised that it was Kiriheim's bra, and he remembered that he used it yesterday to warm himself while sleeping, and he felt in trouble when he remembered Kiriheim's words that she would make the thief pay with his body. Kiriheim returned from training and found the house in disarray. When she checked her closet, she noticed many books on top of each other as if someone was trying to open the drawers. On the other side, Kazuhito was on his way to the bookstore, frustrated that he had failed to destroy the evidence as he tried to put the bra back in place. While he was lost in thought, Yaoi rushes up to him and starts playing with him exaggeratedly. Curious about the books he bought from their store, she searches his bag and is surprised to find a bra inside that is smaller than the one used by Sakura. Kazuhito tries to retrieve the bra, but she accuses him of stealing it and suggests they go to the police. As she starts to get up, Kazuhito seizes the opportunity, grabs the bra, and runs away. Meanwhile, Kiriheim went to the bookstore to ask about him, but Sakura told her that he hadn't come today, and she thought that he usually prefers to go to quiet places after he became famous in this neighborhood and everyone knows him. She decided to go ask someone else, and as she was about to leave, Sakura apologized for not being helpful, and expressed her concern about Kazuhito as there have been many traffic accidents in this area. After that, Kiriheim exited the store and on her way she bumped into Hami, who kept apologizing to her in an exaggerated manner, making her completely ignore her and continue on her way. Then she headed to the station, and while looking for Kazuhito she felt that someone was watching her. On the other hand, Kazuhito went to an area near the forest and buried her bra in a deep hole. While he was digging, he heard a female voice singing a song and found a girl dressed as a maid singing while doing her job of cleaning. As Kazuhito listened to the lyrics of her song, he was surprised to realize that she had taken the lyrics from The Servant's Revelation, a popular novel that won many awards, and Kazuhito couldn't take his eyes off her as she showed off her singing. After the girl finished singing, she was surprised to hear the sound of sneezing nearby, and when she saw Kazuhito, she blushed that someone was watching her performance even though he was just a dog, and she felt she was in trouble until she decided to get rid of him to keep it a secret forever. That's when she reveals her weapon hidden inside her broom and decides to attack him. Meanwhile, Kiriheim hears what he has in mind and starts running around looking for him before he's in danger. Kazuhito tried to run away from the suspicious girl with everything he had, but she almost hit him with a crushing blow. He narrowly avoided her, but ended up in the middle of the street, and when he tried to cross to the other side, he was shocked to see a truck so close to him that he couldn't avoid it. He realizes he's going to die again and won't get to read any more books, but Kiriheim shows up just in time to save him. She gets angry when she sees the maid who tried to kill him and decides to stop her. The maid mocked Kiriheim's scissors and told her that he had no chance against a weapon the size of her spear, then changed her mind and decided to leave it at that, telling Kiriheim before she left that she had a feeling she would be able to have a long fight with her someday. After the suspicious maid left, Kazuhito sat down to get some rest and expressed his gratitude to Kiriheim. She approached him after noticing that his hands were dirty, and he felt confused because he forgot to clean himself after digging, and after rummaging through his bag, she found her bra. Kazuhito felt that his life was in danger and tried to explain it to her, while Kiriheim blushed as he saw the dog logo on the bra. So Kazuhito realized that she loves dogs, especially the kind he turned into, and told her that he didn't notice it because he hadn't gotten used to his new form yet. Then he thought about acting like a dog to make her forgive him, and when he tried to do that, he was shocked by her reaction and that she intended to get rid of him. A few days later, Kazuhito finds himself going with Kiriheim to a place known as the Land of the Sacred Blade, a tourist spot with hot springs, and while he's puzzled by the existence of such a place, Kiriheim tells him to try to have some fun. He was shocked to see the owner of the tourist inn, who looked very much like the owner of the inn he stayed at when he was human, and after being greeted by the owner, he noticed that the inn had many books, so he liked the inn and decided to stay by the shelves. Then he was surprised when he heard Madoka's voice in the back and found her holding him in her arms. Then he realized that Kiriheim had invited invited her. Then they ended up staying in Kiriheim's room that was specially designed for her and is known as the Scissors Room. Madoka notices a picture of Kiriheim's family and doesn't expect her to have a family. Kiriheim looks like a sullen child forced to be in the picture, and when Kazuhito takes a look at the picture, he realizes that she looks a lot like her father. Kiriheim felt irritated when she remembered that her older sister resembled her mother, especially in a certain part. Kazuhito realized that she was still suffering from the flat chest crisis and tried to encourage her with a few words, but ended up getting a harsh punishment. When Madoka is about to go to her room next door, she decides to take Kazuhito with her to spend some time with him. Kazuhito is annoyed that she can't keep her from her brother, and Kiriheim is confused by the tension between them. And suddenly the situation changes 180 degrees when Kiriheim looks at her phone and realizes it's time for them to go to the springs. Kazuhito ended up alone and decided to take the opportunity to read books in the parlor, but he was surprised when the book that interested him disappeared, and Kiriheim was surprised when she ran into Sakura and Hami in the locker room. Afterward, the three of them went to relax in the hot springs. Hami was scared as usual, and when Kiriheim wondered why they were there, Sakura told her that they were on a gym trip. Madoka joins them and tells her that she'll be attending the same high school as her next year. Then Sakura notices Hami sitting far away from them, and Kiriheim remembers that she's the same girl she met in front of the store the other day, and thinks about how Kazuhito spends his time now. In the meantime, Kazuhito finished reading dozens of books, although he couldn't stop thinking about the book he found missing. Then he was surprised by Madoka carrying Kiriheim inside after she was injured in the springs, and what confused him even more was her accusation that he was peeping at them. In the evening, they decide to go for dinner on the patio to enjoy the sunset, while Kazuhito prefers reading books to watching the sunset, and Kiriheim finds it a good opportunity to spend a romantic moment with him according to her guidebook. When they entered the dining hall, they were surprised by a group of masked people lined up in rows. Kiriheim heard a familiar voice and went to remove the mask from one of them and found that it was Suzu, who happened to be on the annual trip of the Sushi Geek group that she is a member of. But Kiriheim was not convinced by this excuse and ordered her to get lost. After that, she continued reading the romance manuals until she got to the sleeping section, and blushed when she realized that she would be sleeping in the same room with Kazuhito. And when she saw that he had fallen asleep while reading, she decided to attack him. The next day, Kazuhito is surprised that Kiriheim wants to go somewhere early, and notices that she's reading a small book, so he asks her to read it, but she gets confused and refuses to give it to him. On their way, they run into Maxie, who is showing off her appearance as usual. They decide to continue on their way without paying attention to her, but when they arrive at their destination, Kiriheim gets frustrated when she sees the eccentric maid and they are about to have a fight, but the maid realizes that it's too late to return to her mistress and rushes out of the store. Meanwhile, Madoka fails to make Kazuhito's special curry with an ordinary knife. In the evening, Kiriheim manages to buy a stone to sharpen her scissors, and on her way home she passes by the studio where the family photo was taken. She remembers crying and asking her mother to take the picture with her scissors instead of her older sister. She decides to enter the studio with Kazuhito to take a souvenir photo. When they return to the hostel, they notice that everyone is staring at, so Kiriheim is confused and decides to go to the hot springs alone to sharpen her weapon. While Kiriheim was sharpening her weapon in the springs, she was surprised that Maxie joined her and challenged her to test their endurance in the water, but she ignored her and continued to sharpen the scissors. On the other side, Sakura and Hami were about to leave, and Sakura wanted to say goodbye to the others before leaving. On the other side, Kazuhito was surprised to see a large group of visitors carrying the weapons that were hanging on the shelves and heading towards the springs, looking like zombies at first glance, so he had no choice but to go to the springs before them and tell Kiriheim what was going on. But as soon as he arrives, the zombies burst in, and he wonders if she's been in the same situation before, having been attacked by a group of strangers in the city who caused her scissors to lose their sharpness after she overpowered them. Maxie thought the strangers were coming for her and stood in front of them, showing off as usual, but they ignored her and continued on their way towards Kiriheim and soon attacked her. Kazuhito thought to go for help, but found that there were more of them coming. Kiriheim, meanwhile, was in a predicament where her weapon was not in perfect condition, but she was still trying to fight off the strangers as best she could. So he rushed towards them and managed to land a resounding blow to push them away, then told her that he would try to give her time to finish polishing her weapon. Kiriheim felt happy that he was fighting for her and was motivated to work harder before someone could stab him. Madoka intervened just in time and used her unique weapon to defend her brother. Kiriheim was eager to use the stronger form of her weapon to fight off the enemies and continued to fight them until Kiriheim finished refining her weapon, at which point they joined forces to finish off the enemies. But Kiriheim didn't realize that the romance manual had fallen from her and realized it after it was torn from everyone stepping on it. So she became so angry that she scared Madoka and Kazuhito, and everyone ended up being crushed in the springs. The next day, the inn staff met with the owner and apologized for having to close the inn for maintenance after yesterday's battle, and told them that they had no memory of what happened yesterday. Meanwhile, someone was watching Kiriheim closely, and Kiriheim thought about visiting again with Kazuhito alone to enjoy the atmosphere undisturbed. A few days later, Kiriheim went to buy some books for Kazuhito, and when he asked her what had happened to her since that day, she told him that she had been attacked several times by strangers and was able to take care of them. Then she saw a shadow of someone watching her outside the store. Sakura then suggested that she buy a certain book that she could find in her library. When Kazuhito saw the cover, he remembered that it was the book he wanted to read at the Springs Inn, and Kiriheim bought it after finding that he wanted to read it very much. After they returned home, Kazuhito was shocked and told Kirihime that someone had robbed them. Kirihime felt that the house didn't look any different to her and wondered that she didn't notice any change. He told her that there were about 100,000 books in this room, but that the number of books had increased by 1. Kirihime was surprised that he expected her to notice something so simple. When she asked him about the extra book, he was able to find it, and they found that it was the same book they had bought at the bookstore. Then Kazuhito guessed that the person following her had planted the book inside the house for some reason. She wondered how he managed to get in without breaking it, and then she was furious when she found Kazuhito sitting reading the book without caring that someone had broken into their house. He told her that the book was their only guide and that they might find something interesting in it. She felt that he was right and decided to read the same book. On the other hand, Hami was surprised when Sakura told her that Kazuhito and Kirihime had come and bought the book that was in the inn. After Kazuhito finished reading the book, he was disappointed as he thought it was a romantic novel and did not expect the fighting and horror scenes and did not like it. And when he looked at Kirihime, he found her still reading the novel and was surprised when he felt a tingling sensation in his chest. He approached Kirihime and realized that she seemed to interest him as a woman, but he refused to understand it since he only cares about books and at the same time he couldn't take his eyes off her. He ended up jumping towards her, but he landed inside an empty vase after getting his head stuck inside. Kirihime wondered after she finished reading that he was there and he told her that she was the one who threw him away. She realized that her body moves on its own while reading and wondered why she threw him away without getting angry. Kazuhito hesitated to tell her what happened in detail, and while he was thinking, Kirihime realized the reason through his thoughts and told him that his end would be tragic if he fell in love with her, and he told her that she had caused him a lot without doing anything. She was furious that he didn't want to fall in love with her and threatened to execute him, so he had to confess his love to her to save his life, which made her feel ashamed. But then she caught herself when she remembered their main target, the person who was chasing them. Then she noticed that the author of this book is named Hadoru, and although he is an amateur writer, the book looks like it was written by someone else entirely. She guessed that he might have changed the writing style, but to Kazuhito it looked like one of her own books. Kirihime told him that she felt as if she had written the novel while reading it, and Kazuhito was curious to look it up, but found that his history as an author was unknown, and felt as if he had copied her writing style. Kirihime decided to call her slave Suzuna and asked her if she knew anything about Hadoru. Suzuna was confused and told her that she couldn't say anything about this author since she was an author at another company, but Kirihime forced her to talk in her own way. After writing everything down, she found that the only thing missing was her real name and was surprised when she realized that she was the daughter of Shuzo, a famous author who wrote many political and detective novels during the wartime period. Kazuhito remembered noticing something else besides copying her writing style, but he wasn't sure what it was, so he decided not to say it. Suzuna then told them that there are rumors about Shuzo and that he is responsible for blocking the novels and has a great deal of influence in making decisions. Kazuhito wonders if this means that she used her father's influence to make herself known. Kirihime decides to go check for herself, and to Kazuhito's surprise, she intends to go to the unknown author's residence and realizes that she lives in the same neighborhood as his high school. After they arrived, Kazuhito felt nostalgic when he saw a lot of stores, which brought back some memories. As soon as he saw a bookstore, he immediately went there. Kirihime scolded him and told him that they were on a mission, and he told her that his body moved of its own accord. Kazuhito then remembered that he had bought one of her books from this store and that it had been released during the exam period, and when she wondered that he was supposed to focus on studying, he told her that she was more important than the exam to him, and as he continued talking about his memories, he found that she had stopped walking. He returned to her and found her in a state of sudden happiness. She felt confused and asked him to repeat what he had just said. He told her that her books were more important than exams to him. When she realized that he meant books and not her personally, she felt angry and chastised him, while the mysterious person was still following them. Kirihime marveled that he had brought her to a deserted area. He told her that this route had saved him a lot of time in the past. As they walked, Kirihime felt trapped, and then a group of unseen people appeared around them, and Kazuhito felt that this was the work of the unknown author. Kirihime decides to find out for herself, and Kazuhito ends up being thrown into the fight by her after she uses him as artillery. After a while, he regains consciousness and is surprised by the fact that she took them all down by herself, telling him that they weren't experienced enough to be worthy of keeping up with her. Then the mysterious man watching them appeared right in front of them, and they were shocked to realize that it was the famous author Shuzen and the fact that he might be responsible for these incidents. Shuzen then began talking about how he realized that Kirihime's books are as brutal as her fighting style. As a person's nature shows through their writings, he tries to make a deal with Kirihime to overlook what happened today in exchange for her freeing him, but she refuses and warns him that she will kick his ass if he doesn't answer her questions. Shuzen warned her that she would regret her actions if she did anything clumsy, then told her that he might urinate on himself if he stayed suspended in the air for too long due to his old age. So she approached him and started kicking him and questioning him. When she asked him how he got into her house and hacked her security systems, he called her an idiot for not knowing how, and told her that he had had a friend who worked for a security company who helped him turn off the alarms, and when she asked him why, he replied that his daughter had asked him to give her a book. She told him that if it was just about giving her a book, he should have mailed it to her instead of deliberately hiding it somewhere she couldn't find it. Susan marveled that she didn't know why he wouldn't give her the book and accused her of being a bad influence on his daughter. He goes on to say that he doesn't like her as an author and won't let her near his daughter under any circumstances. When he mentions her scissors and the fact that waving them around is the reason she's constantly being attacked, she releases them and realizes that they have nothing to do with her being constantly attacked. When she guessed that his daughter was behind the attack, he immediately denied it and attributed everything to himself. He tried to convince her in various ways but failed, and when Kiriheim asked him what his daughter was up to, he replied that she wanted to meet her. In the evening, Kiriheim went to Kazuhito's high school and was surprised that she decided to search here for clues. Kiriheim then decided to search his classroom out of curiosity that she might find something interesting, then gave him the freedom to go wherever he wanted and told him that she would be fine on her own. Kazuhito felt relieved after she left and decided to go to the school library. Once inside, he found that the place hadn't changed at all. As he wandered around, he felt nostalgic and wanted to check something, so he went to the shelf containing Kiriheim's books and removed them, finding that the papers he had hidden were still there. He was surprised to hear a girl's voice calling his name, and when he turned around, he realized that it was Hami who was waiting for him and knew his identity. Kazuhito realizes that Hami is the daughter of Shuzen, who is responsible for all these incidents, and the unknown author of the suspicious romance novel that is an imitation of Kiriheim's writing style. He then remembers when he was human and went to the school library one day, and was surprised to find a manuscript of a novel and ended up reading it all unconsciously. Curious as to the identity of the author, he heard Hami's voice nervously telling him that she had written the novel, found her hiding under the table, grabbed the manuscript and ran away. And before she left, Kazuhito asked her to continue writing the novel. Hami was surprised that he liked her writing. A few days later, she wrote another part. After he finished reading it, Hami was too overwhelmed to want to hear what he had to say. He realized that she was too afraid and told her that he wanted to share his thoughts with her after he read the novel. He told her that he realized she was influenced by Akiyama Shinobu's writing style, and considered what he had read to be a poor copy of it. However, her novel sounded interesting and he asked her to keep writing because he was looking forward to reading more, and she felt happy for his encouragement. In the evening, Kazuhito suggested that she submit her manuscript to the new authors contest, the first step to professional writing, but she refused, thinking it would be like forcing people to like her through the jury and that it would be a waste of time for them to read her manuscript. Hami seemed to feel that she and her work were a burden on the planet and humanity in general, that she felt useless, and that it was impossible for her to become an author. Kazuhito told her that she should be more confident and that he was waiting to read more from her. After he supported her, she became confident and decided to become a writer. She told him that she wanted him to be the first person to read her book. She told him that her pseudonym was a rewrite of her name, and Kazuhito realized that he felt uncomfortable reading the novel because she had written it. He wondered how she knew who he was and if she could hear his thoughts. Hami told him that she couldn't understand him even though she felt he wanted to say something. She guessed from his facial expression that he was disappointed after discovering her identity, and began to apologize to him. She tells him that it was Sakura who helped her when she mentioned that he visits the store every day to buy books, and she guesses correctly after seeing him take out the manuscript since no one else knows where it is. She admired the idea of him becoming her favorite author's dog and at the same time blamed him for dying before he could finish reading her manuscripts, while she kept her promise, became an author, and turned to her father to teach her to write professionally. Then she confessed that she made him use his influence, and Kazuhito confirmed his guess that she used her father to show herself as a writer. Then he added that she couldn't continue writing her manuscripts after his death, and even after learning of his return, she couldn't continue, which made her feel that she wasn't a real writer. In the meantime, Kiriheim continues to search through Kazuhito's classroom, looking at the pictures she found of him, and then a female voice tells her to go to the roof and that she has taken her dog as a hostage. Instead of confronting Hami, she accuses Kazuhito of betrayal for finding the perpetrator and choosing to stay on his side, and when she pulls out her gun, Hami tells her not to hurt him. Kiriheim realizes that Hami is the anonymous author using Hadaru as her pseudonym, and when she is about to use the scissors against her, Hami suggests that they settle it as authors, and Kiriheim accepts the challenge to settle it through a writing contest. They ended up sitting in the library, each preparing to write a 100-page short story, and whoever finished first would be the winner of the duel, and Kiriheim vowed to achieve a perfect victory over her. After the competition began, they each grabbed their pens and started writing their stories in front of a stunned Kazuhito, and Hami used both hands to write at the same time in order to outdo her. Kazuhito began to feel exhausted but decided not to give up, while Kazuhito began to feel sleepy due to the quiet and silence of the place, but Hami's strange writing techniques made him feel suspicious all the time. After some time, Hami became frustrated that Kiriheim was not affected by any of her techniques and was curious to know if she had read her latest novel, so she told her that she had read it and thought it was not bad. And then they were surprised to see the library's features change around them after Hami used her hidden power and somehow controlled Kiriheim's body and wanted to force her to stab herself with scissors. Hami then continued writing and told them that she deliberately places certain words and terms in her novels in different places to send messages to the reader's subconscious, which is why Kiriheim was attacked by everyone who read the novel. Kazuhito realizes that this is why he jumped on her earlier. Hami tells him that her technique doesn't affect all her readers, as it failed to affect her father and Sakura. Sekiro, and uses Kiriheim's being under the influence of her technique to force her to stop writing as she nears the 100th page of her story. Kiriheim gathers her strength, holds the pen in her mouth and continues to write, eventually winning by 1 page over Hami, and returning the library to its original form. Hami decides to commit suicide at this point, but Kazuhito rushes over and takes the pen from her. She apologized for losing the fight and told him that she wasn't good enough and called herself a fraud. Kazuhito went and brought her manuscript, but she didn't understand what he meant, so Kiriheim told her that he was trying to tell her to write more. Then she added that her father told them that he didn't use his influence to make her win the Best Emerging Author award, which means that she became an author of her own free will, and her novel is something real. Hami said that she tried to use underhanded tricks that made her feel like she wasn't a real writer. Kiriheim told her that there is no such thing as a real or imaginary author, that everyone can write, and that this is the desire that authors have all the time, as well as having readers who are eager to read what they write. Hami was curious about Kazuhito's opinion, and when she asked him if everything would be okay if she kept writing, he kept barking at her, so she wanted to make him promise that he would read her book someday. Kiriheim then told her that she had heard that she was writing a manuscript at the moment and asked her to let her read it as soon as she finished it. Hami felt ashamed because she had caused her so much trouble lately, so Kiriheim told her that she would punish Kazuhito instead, which made him feel angry. Then she continued to encourage her to write more because they want to read her works. Hami started crying and expressed her gratitude towards her, and the next day Hami became Kiriheim's student, and they practiced writing together at home while Kazuhito sat down to read Kiriheim's latest novel, and was shocked by the fact that she used Hami's technique to control his body and make him move towards her of his own accord. A few days later, Madoka comes to visit Kazuhito and Kiriheim and tells them that she will finish the entrance exam tomorrow, then thinks to make curry for them, which makes Kazuhito feel angry that she can't make anything but curry. When they joined her, Kazuhito felt indigestion as he imagined the food, but he was surprised by the delicious aroma of the food and thought that Madoka had improved her culinary skills. He was curious to take a look at what she was cooking and was shocked to find that the curry had turned blue. Kiriheim laughed at him and told him that he would be happy to eat his little sister's curry. Kazuhito ends up running away from home to avoid eating the strange curry and finds no place but the bookstore. But unfortunately, Yaoi corners him and continues to fondle him violently as usual, so he feels his life is in danger. Then he noticed that Kiyoshi came in and wanted to buy a book about Afro. Then a group of muscular people came in to buy a book about bodybuilding. And finally, he was surprised to see Suzuna enter the bookstore in a pitiful state to buy books about sadism. After she leaves, Kazuhito thinks that Kiriheim will easily find him if he stays here. Then he's struck by Sekira's uncanny ability to know her customers' favorite genre of books and is surprised to see Maxi's security guard Damon wanting to buy all of Kiriheim's books and the author known as Momoji. Sekira was surprised to see all the guards come in with the books, and after they left, Kazuhito felt like buying all of Kiriheim and Momoji's books at once, so he decided to follow them to investigate, but none of them were around, and he was surprised to see the owner of the tourist inn and the owner of the inn where he was staying passing by as if they were identical copies. On the other hand, Kiriheim was looking for Kazuhito everywhere while Kazuhito was hanging around, thinking about how similar the two girls were, when suddenly the suspicious maid appeared in front of him singing her favorite song. Kazuhito chose not to get involved with her, and when he started to leave, he accidentally stepped on a tree branch, exposing him to her. The maid decided to get rid of him so no one would know her secret, but he kept dodging her blows until Kiriheim arrived just in time. Kiriheim was furious that she dared to attack her dog for the second time, but the maid told her that anything she encounters now is just a small obstacle in her path, as she is a battle expert and has won hundreds of them and vowed to overcome them effortlessly. She then adds that she knows Sachai is the Shadow Maid and prepares for a bloody fight against her, but they are soon interrupted by the appearance of Maxi flying her helicopter overhead and planning to settle her score with Kiriheim, and Sachai realizes that she is the author of the alias Akiyama. Maxi then tells her that she bought all of her books along with Momoji's, put them inside a huge building, and announced a contest called the Nine-Tailed Tower, and decided that Momoji and Kiriheim would compete by writing short stories to be judged by 9 judges to settle things between them. They were surprised to see that the 9 judges Maxi had hired didn't look human, and were soon shocked to see Sachai rush into the tower to attack Maxi, and when her guards tried to stop her, she effortlessly crushed them. She then stood in front of Maxi and told her that she would not condone what she had just said and told her that the greatest writer on earth was her master, Momoji, and everyone was surprised by the fact that Sachai was Momoji's maid. Kazuhito couldn't hide his amazement at the fact that he was watching the 3 most important authors of the modern era and best-selling authors standing face to face, while Maxi told Sachai to tell her mistress to come here to crush her and Kiriheim. The competition between Kiriheim and Maxi began, and Kazuhito was excited to see the fight, but before Maxi could write a word, she ended up on the shoulder of her guard, Damon, who picked her up and headed straight for the helicopter. Kazuhito was furious that he had ruined the competition. Sachai decided to go shopping to get things for her lady, and Kazuhito and Kiriheim ended up going home. Kazuhito was upset that his expectations were ruined so quickly. Meanwhile, Momoji was sitting at the top of her palace, contemplating the void in her wheelchair, thinking that nothing in this world is meaningful, which makes life and death the same. In the evening, Kazuhito and Kiriheim went to the bookstore, where they were surprised by Hami's visit. She almost revealed his identity to Sekira, but she caught herself. She then told Sekira that she wanted to talk to her about something. She hesitated before telling her that she was going to become an author, and wanted to have a fresh start in her career, and because she couldn't couldn't organize her thoughts. Sekira didn't understand what she was getting at. Then she gathered her thoughts and told them that she had made an important decision. Madoka joined them after finishing the entrance exam and told them that she had been accepted and would be entering high school in a few months. Sekira asked her if she was living alone in Tokyo, and she told her that she would have to move to a dormitory since her parents had objected to her going to live in Tokyo after her brother's death, but she decided to attend the same school as him so that he would always be in her heart. Kazuhito felt that his sister had really grown up and started to move on with her life and decided to go home and eat the curry that she had prepared in advance. In the evening, he was shocked to find that it had become a rainbow color and was curious to know what was inside, and ended up being forced to eat it after Madoka fed it herself. The next day, Suzuna goes to visit Kirihime and notices that she's deliberately ignoring her. Kazuhito realizes that she's weird when he finds her happily ignoring him while Kirihime is busy writing. Suzuna approached him to talk to him, and he wanted to ignore her, but she surrounded him from all sides. He asked her why she had come today, and she told him that she had come to discuss Kirihime's future plans. Kazuhito was curious as to why she was hiding her identity, and Suzuna told him that when she revealed her identity as an unknown young woman at the beginning of her career, the community underestimated her and wouldn't trust the novels she wrote, even though they shouldn't judge a book by its cover. She then added that now is the time to reveal her true colors and achieve undeniable results. She thought that interviewing an author with a different style like Momoji would be interesting, or appearing in the media like Maxi might motivate her to finish writing the final volume of the Seven Sins series. Kazuhito then surprises Kirihime by bringing a bunch of strange clothes for Kirihime to try on, and to his amazement, Suzuna uses her creepy power and manages to change Kirihime's clothes without moving from her spot. Suzuna continued to try on different outfits, then Madoka joined them after she made her own curry, and Kazuhito was shocked to see that the curry looked like a burning volcano.
Then, Suzuna suggested she try on some costumes, and Kazuhito tried to convince her to refuse, but she did not hesitate to wear some different clothes, and Madoka was enjoying her time in character until Hami joined them without a prior appointment.
Finding Kirihime busy writing, she decides to leave, but soon notices the clothes that Suzuna puts aside and tries them on before she and Madoka go to the bookstore. Suzuna decides to try on Kirihime's latest costume, but Kirihime's grip on her head is so tight before she can use her ability that it feels like her skull is going to shatter, and Kirihime decides to engrave her signature on her body with scissors. Although Suzuna is punished, she decides to go ahead with her next plan, which is to make Kirihime cute by getting her drunk. Kazuhito is surprised by Suzuna's suspicious plans that have nothing to do with her job as an ep, and tells her that wine may not improve her personality and may even make her more violent, but she tells him that she will take responsibility if that happens. Then she used her ability to pour the wine into Kirihime's glass without her realizing it. As soon as she took the first sip, Kazuhito shuddered as he began to imagine what it would be like when Kirihime got drunk. As soon as he saw her coming towards him, he was about to run away, but she took him in her arms and surprised him with a look of tenderness. Kazuhito was so impressed that he suspected it was the Kirihime he knew, while Suzuna was shocked to see her being unusually gentle and told her that she should be more violent, but Kirihime refused to be cruel to her. Suzuna was furious and thought she might be violent if she drank more wine, but she became so gentle and in such a good mood that Suzuna had a nervous breakdown and Kazuhito thought she was dead, while Kirihime thought she had fallen asleep from exhaustion and covered her up. Then she held Kazuhito in her arms and he felt bad because of the pressure of her flat chest against his body, but he was surprised that she didn't react when he thought about her breasts, which made him feel bad and thought about making her angry. And when he told her directly, she felt ashamed and told him that he was still young, even though she was 20 years old and might not be able to feed a child with them. Kazuhito is stunned by her 180-degree change in behavior once she's under the influence of alcohol. When she asks him what he prefers, he tells her that breasts have nothing to do with size, but she ends up understanding that he's indirectly proposing marriage. Kirihime started imagining their dubious wedding, with everyone congratulating them and wishing them a happy life, and Kirihime started sharing his vision, and she liked it so much that Kazuhito wanted to stop thinking about it, but he failed, and they ended up kissing at the end of the ceremony. Kirihime then fantasized about going on their honeymoon to Hawaii and having fun on the beach with everyone with them for some reason, and Kazuhito asked her to go back to normal as soon as possible before things progressed in her imagination, but to no avail. They ended up going back to their new house in her imagination, but Kazuhito found that it was the same living room as the one in her house, and he was quickly shocked when she asked him what color to paint the kids' room. She felt sad that he had no idea how much she cared about starting a family with him, and when she asked him what was most important between her and the books, he yelled at her to stop messing with him. In the evening, Kirihime feels exhausted and decides to go to bed. Kazuhito ends up lying on her bed after she ties him up and tells him that she feels heat coming from her throat, and that it's getting hotter all the time, so he tries to get out of it before it gets worse, but to no avail. The next day, Kazuhito ended up suffering from a bad smell and mold due to Kirihime vomiting all over him, and when he expressed his annoyance, she decided to take him to clean him herself, and he was surprised that she treats him nicely even though she is not under the influence of alcohol. She told him that she has always been nice to him, and he realized that she decided to treat him like a puppy from now on and will not use her weapons to threaten him again.